Listen carefully, because I'm about to expose the 6 phrases every cheating man uses. These aren't random words. They're calculated lies I've heard men use, and maybe even used myself. If you hear phrase 3, don't confront him. Start recording everything instead. Before I reveal these deceptive phrases, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Comment below if you've heard any of these phrases. You need to know the truth. And if you want to understand how men really think when they're cheating, join our community. Write the city you are watching from down below. I'm going to break the male code of silence and expose our script. These phrases aren't accidents. They're defense mechanisms every man learns to use. I've seen friends use these. I've heard guys share these tactics, and I'm done staying quiet. Today, you're learning what we really mean when we say these things. Let me tell you something about male psychology that women don't understand. We're hunters by nature, but we're also cowards when it comes to emotional confrontation. We'd rather manipulate our way out of difficult conversations than face the consequences of our actions. These 6 phrases are our emotional escape routes, designed to buy us time while protecting our image. Phrase number 1. You're being paranoid. This phrase is our emotional judo move. We take your legitimate concerns and flip them back onto you as a character flaw. When we say, you're being paranoid, we're activating something I call the crazy girlfriend switch in your brain. We know that most women would rather question themselves than be labeled as irrational. Here's the male psychology behind this. We've learned that women care more about being perceived as reasonable than being right. So when you start connecting dots that lead to our deception, we immediately attack your credibility rather than address your evidence. It's not about the facts. It's about making you doubt your ability to interpret those facts. I've sat in rooms where men literally practice this response. We'll say things like, "Bro, just call her paranoid and she'll back off." We know that once we plant the seed that you're overthinking, you'll start second-guessing every instinct you have. It's psychological warfare disguised as relationship advice. What's particularly cruel about this tactic is how we escalate it. First, we'll dismiss your concerns as overthinking. If that doesn't work, we'll bring up past instances where you were wrong about something. Then we'll suggest you need therapy or medication. We systematically destroy your confidence in your own perceptions. Here's what we're really thinking when we use this phrase. She's getting too close to the truth. I need to make her feel crazy for noticing what's obvious. We're not hurt by your suspicions. We're terrified by your accuracy. The word paranoid is our panic button, designed to shut down your investigation immediately. What women don't realize is that we practice reading your emotional tells. We know exactly when you're starting to doubt yourself. We can see the moment when paranoid hits its target. Your shoulders drop, your voice gets defensive, and you start explaining why you're not crazy instead of asking why we're acting shady. Phrase number 2. She's just a friend. This phrase is our masterpiece of technical honesty combined with emotional deception. When we say, she's just a friend, we're banking on your social programming that says questioning male friendships makes you controlling. But here's what we're really doing. We're using the word friend to cover a multitude of sins. In male minds, she can be just a friend, who we also happen to have romantic feelings for, share intimate conversations with, and fantasize about. We've convinced ourselves that as long as we use the friendship label, we're not technically cheating. Here's how we strategically deploy this phrase. First, we introduce her as a friend to establish the narrative. Then we gradually increase contact while maintaining the friend designation. By the time you're suspicious, we've already trained you to accept that she's off limits for questioning because she's just a friend. What's particularly manipulative is how we use your own values against you. We know you don't want to be the jealous girlfriend who controls her man's friendships. So we frame any concern about our female friends as you being insecure. We've essentially created a situation where questioning us makes you look bad. I've watched men carefully curate their female friendships as backup options. We maintain these friendships specifically because they provide emotional and sometimes physical alternatives to our primary relationship. The friendship label gives us plausible deniability while keeping our options open. Here's the psychological trick we're playing. We're exploiting the difference between how men and women view opposite-sex friendships. Women can genuinely have platonic male friends, so they assume we can do the same. But male psychology is different. We rarely maintain close female friendships without some level of romantic or sexual interest. When you start questioning our female friends, we don't just defend the friendship, we attack your character. You don't trust me. You're being controlling. She's like a sister to me. We pile on the guilt until you apologize for having boundaries. It's emotional manipulation at its finest. The most insidious part is how we use these friendships to make you compete. We'll mention how supportive she is, how she understands us, how easy she is to talk to. We're essentially telling you that another woman is better at being our partner than you are, while maintaining that she's just a friend. Phrase number 3. I need some space to think. This is the phrase that should send you into full documentation mode, because it's rarely about thinking. It's about executing. When we say we need space to think, we've already made our decision. We're not confused. We're planning. This phrase is our way of gaining freedom to act without having to lie about our whereabouts. Here's the male psychology behind this nuclear option. Men hate uncertainty, but we also hate confrontation. So instead of ending relationships cleanly, we create distance that allows us to test other options while keeping our original relationship as a safety net. Space to think gives us permission to essentially cheat without technically being single. What's happening in our minds when we use this phrase is pure calculation. We're thinking, how can I explore this other situation without completely burning bridges? The thinking we need to do isn't about our feelings. It's about strategy. How do we transition from one relationship to another with minimal damage to our reputation? I've seen men coordinate their space periods with their affair partners. They'll plan trips, dates, even temporary living arrangements during this thinking time. Meanwhile, their primary partner is at home, respecting their need for space, completely unaware that the space is being filled by someone else. The cruelest aspect of this phrase is how reasonable it sounds. Who wouldn't want their partner to carefully consider the relationship? But here's the difference. When men genuinely need to think about relationship issues, we discuss them with our partners. When we need space to think, we're usually thinking about how to leave. What we're exploiting is women's natural tendency to be patient and supportive. We know that most women will give us the space we request, even when it causes them anxiety. We're using your love and respect against you, knowing you'll sacrifice your own peace of mind to give us what we claim to need. Here's a psychological insight most women miss. When men are genuinely committed to a relationship, we work through problems together. We don't need to disappear to figure out our feelings. The request for space is usually a man's way of emotionally and sometimes physically auditioning his replacement. The manipulation extends to how we frame the request. We'll make it sound like we're being responsible and mature by taking time to think. We might even suggest that the space will make us appreciate the relationship more. It's all designed to make you feel good about giving us exactly what we need to betray you. Phrase number 4. You don't trust me. This phrase is our emotional reverse psychology masterpiece. When we say, you don't trust me, we're not expressing hurt. We're expressing frustration that our manipulation isn't working as effectively as it used to. We're essentially angry that you're starting to see through our deception, so we're trying to shame you back into blindness. The male psychology here is rooted in our understanding of female guilt responses. We know that women are socialized to avoid conflict and maintain harmony in relationships. So when we flip the script and make trust the issue instead of our behavior, we're activating your desire to be a good girlfriend who trusts her man. Here's what's really going through our minds. She's not buying my lies anymore, so I need to make her feel bad for not buying my lies. We're not thinking about how to rebuild trust through honest behavior. We're strategizing about how to regain the trust we've been abusing without actually earning it. What makes this phrase particularly effective is how we deliver it. We'll use a wounded tone, as if your lack of trust is causing us deep emotional pain. We might even tear up or walk away dramatically. We're performing hurt to manipulate you into feeling guilty for protecting yourself. I've observed men practicing this emotional manipulation. We'll discuss which tone works best, which facial expressions are most effective, and how to time the phrase for maximum impact. It's not genuine emotion. It's calculated performance designed to exploit your empathy. The psychological warfare gets more sophisticated when we start bringing up your past. After everything I've done for you, I thought we were stronger than this. I've never given you a reason not to trust me. We're rewriting history to make ourselves look like victims of your unreasonable suspicion. Here's the male logic behind this manipulation. We figure that if we can make you feel guilty enough for not trusting us, you'll stop investigating our behavior and start overcompensating by trusting us more. We're essentially punishing you for having good instincts until you abandon those instincts. What women don't understand is that when we use this phrase, we're actually confirming that you shouldn't trust us. Men who are genuinely trustworthy don't get angry when questioned. They provide reassurance. When we attack you for having concerns instead of addressing those concerns, we're telling you everything you need to know. Phrase number 5. Nothing happened. This phrase represents the pinnacle of male verbal manipulation, the art of lying while technically telling the truth. When we say nothing happened, we're using the precision of language to deceive you while protecting ourselves from the psychological guilt of outright lying. It's our way of having our cake and eating it too. Here's the male psychology behind this masterpiece. We've convinced ourselves that if we answer only the specific question you asked, we're not really lying. So if you ask, "Did you sleep with her?" and we didn't sleep with her that particular day, we can say nothing happened, while hiding the fact that we've been emotionally intimate, physically affectionate, or planning future encounters. What's happening in our minds is a complex rationalization process. We're telling ourselves that we're technically honest while being completely deceptive about the bigger picture. It allows us to maintain our self-image as truthful people while systematically betraying your trust. I've watched men prepare for these conversations like lawyers preparing for cross-examination. We'll anticipate your questions and craft responses that are technically accurate but completely misleading. Nothing happened becomes our Swiss Army knife. It can be applied to almost any situation with careful interpretation. The genius of this phrase is how it exploits the imprecision of human communication. When you ask if something happened, you mean, did anything inappropriate occur? But we interpret it as narrowly as possible. Maybe nothing physical happened, but emotional boundaries were crossed. Maybe nothing happened yesterday, but plenty happened last week. What makes this particularly cruel is how we perform innocence while saying it. We'll make eye contact, use a sincere tone, even act slightly offended that you would ask. We're using our intimate knowledge of your psychology to make the lie more believable, knowing exactly which buttons to push to convince you. The psychological manipulation goes deeper when we add details to make the lie more convincing. Nothing happened. We just talked about work. Or, nothing happened. I was thinking about you the whole time. These additions are designed to make you feel foolish for asking while still hiding the truth. Here's what women miss about male psychology. We can compartmentalize guilt in ways that allow us to lie convincingly. We genuinely believe our own rationalizations the moment we're saying them. When we say, "nothing happened," we're not necessarily conscious of lying. We've convinced ourselves it's true based on our narrow interpretation. Phrase number 6. I love you. This is our nuclear weapon, the phrase that transforms the most sacred words in a relationship into tools of manipulation. When we deploy "I love you" in response to your suspicions, we're not expressing genuine emotion. We're exploiting your deepest vulnerabilities to end conversations we don't want to have. The male psychology behind this phrase is perhaps the most calculating of all our manipulations. We know that "I love you" triggers specific emotional responses in women. A desire to feel secure, a reluctance to continue conflict, and guilt about questioning someone who claims to love you. We're weaponizing your need for emotional connection against your need for truth. Here's what's actually going through our minds when we use this phrase. This will shut down her investigation and make her feel bad for questioning me. We're not feeling overwhelmed by love at that moment. We're feeling overwhelmed by the need to regain control of the situation. The phrase is strategic, not spontaneous. What makes this manipulation particularly devastating is how we time it. We don't say "I love you" randomly during difficult conversations. We deploy it precisely when we need to redirect your emotional energy. It's designed to transform your anger and suspicion into guilt and affection in a single moment. I've witnessed men discussing this tactic as if it were a chess move. When she gets too close to the truth, just tell her you love her and she'll back off. We treat your emotional responses like buttons we can push to get desired outcomes. It's manipulation disguised as affection. The psychological cruelty extends beyond just stopping the conversation. By using I love you as a manipulation tool, we're polluting the phrase for future use. We're training you to associate declarations of love with deflection and deception, which damages your ability to trust genuine expressions of affection. Here's the male rationalization process. Many of us genuinely believe we can love someone while betraying them. We compartmentalize our feelings, convincing ourselves that our love for you exists separately from our deception of you. This mental gymnastics allows us to say, I love you with apparent sincerity while actively planning to hurt you. What women don't understand about male psychology is how we can separate love from loyalty. In our minds, loving you doesn't necessarily mean being faithful to you. We can genuinely feel affection while pursuing other options. This disconnect allows us to use I love you as manipulation while feeling like we're telling the truth. The most insidious aspect is how we elaborate on the phrase to increase its effectiveness. I love you so much. How can you question that? Or, you know I love you more than anything. Why would I hurt you? We're using your love for us as evidence that we couldn't possibly be betraying you. As a man, let me tell you the one thing we fear most. Women who don't take emotional bait. When you hear these phrases, the most powerful response is to ignore the emotional manipulation and stay focused on observable facts. Don't defend your right to have concerns. Just restate what you've observed and ask for specific explanations. Here's what terrifies us. Women who document everything and trust their instincts over our explanations. We're counting on you being more concerned with relationship harmony than personal truth. When you prioritize your own clarity over our comfort, our manipulation tactics become useless. The key is understanding that these phrases are designed to make you feel bad for protecting yourself. Don't fall for it. A man who has nothing to hide doesn't need emotional manipulation to address your concerns. He just provides honest answers. Your instincts are your best protection against these tactics. When you hear multiple phrases from this list, you're not paranoid. You're accurately reading a dangerous situation. Trust yourself more than you trust our explanations, because these phrases are designed to make you doubt the very instincts that could save you. The right man doesn't use your love against you as a weapon. He doesn't exploit your empathy to avoid accountability. He doesn't turn your questions into attacks on your character. When you find that man, you'll understand how different genuine honesty feels compared to sophisticated manipulation.